All right, shalom,
Shalom.
and welcome to our Passover observance that Yahweh has enjoined unto us. Yahweh has given us a set of holy days, a set of days that were important to Him, and they are really of utmost importance to us because our salvation is wrapped around these days. So it's the reason why our adversaries, our enemies, do not want us to walk in these things because people who have ruled over you, built a country on your backs, it is not in their best interest that you understand truly who you are and that you understand what it is you're supposed to do to please Yahweh, your Elohim. Not walking in these things is what caused us to be spread all across the globe in all of these various countries, and we're going through the same things everywhere we are. This is not just sometimes of course, the problem in your house or in your immediate area is always the one that sticks out the most. But do understand that our people are going through this everywhere we are scattered. So these things are very important. A lot of times we look at the Passover as this observance of this past thing. So being that we look at it as this past thing, that we're just, remembering. A lot of people, we just end up going through the motions. The problem with that is we have a and want to pass over us. So a lot of times the things that we're dealing with are a little bit more than what we see on the surface. We're going to begin tonight in Exodus chapter 19. And being that this is our Passover, it is a long night. So we go through all of the, we partake of the body and the blood of the Mashiach. We go through the foot washing, and we have the meal as well, which makes that a long night. Now it is well known that the children of Israel were protected from the destroyer by marking over their doors with the blood of the Lamb. We have an upcoming event that we definitely want to be protected from. As it is written, I was angry with my people, and I polluted mine inheritance, and have given them into your hand. Very heavily have you laid the yoke. Yahweh will recompense the nations for the cruel treatment that has been inflicted upon his people. But we as Israelites must be distinguished as different from the nations. There must be a way for the destroyer to know not to enter into our homes and to deliver us from the adversary. Exodus chapter 19, and we're going to read verses 1 through 16.
In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came them into the wilderness of Sinai, for they were departed from Rephidim, and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness, and there Israel camped before the mount. And Moshe went up unto Elohim, and Yahweh called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shall you say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel.
Right, so we find that this is happening in the 3rd month. When you deal with sanctification, it happens in threes. So it wasn't just this thing that the Messiah rose on the 3rd day. Sanctification is given in these numbers. There's a reason why. There's, of course, these 7 golden candlesticks, why there's these 7 spirits, why we have these 7 holy days, and there's a reason why we have to go through this sanctification part in threes. Go ahead.
You have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then shall you be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people. For all the earth is mine.
Now, pay attention. It says, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant. then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. Those are stipulations. We're not a peculiar people above all other people if we don't keep the covenant that was given unto us. As it is written, they are not all Israel which are of Israel. So trying to figure out your family lineage and your family tree, that's all fine and dandy. But that ain't got nothing to do with being a peculiar people, because if you don't walk the way that you have been given according to the instructions that were given unto us, there ain't nothing peculiar about you. What's peculiar about you? You look just like them. If you walk just like them, you talk just like them, you act just like them, when that destroyer show up, how he gonna know the difference between you and them? Go ahead.
Exodus chapter 19 and verse 6. And you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation.
Right. Now, we think that this happened all in 2 Peter in the New Testament. Yahweh says from the beginning you were set to be a kingdom of priests. Because this thing was given unto Israel, but it was never Yahweh's intention to completely keep it from the rest of his creation. He created all earth. Why would he only have salvation for one group of people? It was never meant to stay with Israel. It was supposed to go to the rest of the nations. But first, the children got to eat. Then you got to spread that on to the rest of his creation. So Israel was already set to be a kingdom of priests. We just now figuring this out. He already said this from the beginning. Go ahead.
These are the words which you shall speak unto the children of Israel. And Moshe came and called for the elders of the people, and laid before their faces all these words which Yahweh commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, All that Yahweh hath spoken we will do. And Moshe returned the words of the people unto Yahweh. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Lo, I come unto you in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with you, and believe you forever. And Moshe told the words of the people unto Yahweh. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Go unto the people, and sanctify them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes, and be ready against the third day.
So, be sanctified against the third day when it comes down to making that appearance before Yahweh. You don't just come before Yahweh any old way. So, understand, we have Passover today. Tomorrow is the first day of Feast of Unleavened Bread. Then we make our appearance on the Feast of First Fruits. So understand, from this day forward, men, you are not to cohabitate with your wives. You have an appearance that you have to make. Now, if you got to go sleep in the attic, I don't care where you sleep. Go sleep in the doghouse if that's what you got. It don't matter if you come up in here with fleas and you got to scratch a little bit. You just need to be prepared to make your appearance. Go ahead.
Verse 11. And be ready against the third day. For the third day Yahweh will come down in the sight of all people upon Mount Sinai. And you shall set bonds unto the people round about, saying, Take heed to yourselves that you go not up into the mount, or touch the border of it. Whosoever touches the mount shall be surely put to death. There shall not an hand touch it, but he shall surely be stoned or shot through. Whether it be beast or man.
Whether it be beast or man, there are instructions. And instead of having excuses for why we didn't follow the instructions, just follow the instructions. Go ahead.
It shall not live. When the trumpet soundeth long, they shall come up to the mount.
And I know that people on the internet, they don't get to hear that shofar being blown, but every time we get ready to gather to have the prayer before we begin any and every gathering, there's always that shofar that is blown, and the children of Israel move by the blowing of the shofar. So the ones who watch on the internet, they may not hear that repetitively, so they may be missing that little portion that we always move. The children of Israel move according to the sound of the trumpet. Go ahead.
Verse 14. And Moshe went down from the mountain unto the people, and sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes. And he said unto the people, Be ready against the third day. Come not at your wives.
Now, He already said that one time. But see, it's real hard to hear. You find that Yahweh will turn around and say the same stuff over and over. Why? Because we us. That's why. We claim we don't hear it the first time. He turned around and said the same thing again. He just said it a couple of verses ago. But he know what manner of people he has chosen to be his representatives here on earth. Go ahead.
And it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunders and lightnings and a thick cloud upon the mount, and the voice of the trumpet exceeding loud, so that all the people that was in the camp trembled.
And the voice of the trumpet exceeding loud. So Yahweh made sure that the people were sanctified before they were even brought before him. Otherwise, he would have ended up having to destroy us. That's the whole reason why the sanctuary had to be set apart from the rest of Israel. Understand, that thing was close to us. But because we kept getting into our own isms and schisms, said, look, I'm going to have to move this away from y'all, or else I'm going to have to kill you. So we have to understand how important these instructions are. Let's go to Revelation chapter 12. Because we spend so much time in, going through the historical part of this Passover, that sometimes it kind of gets past you that we have a serious event that we're going to want to be protected from here shortly. So we keep looking at this Passover as if it's a event in the past that we don't really have to pay that much attention to. But see, this is how people look at the Sabbath. But when we neglect this natural Sabbath, we put ourselves in jeopardy that we may not be a part of that spiritual Sabbath, which is that 1,000-year reign with the adversary locked in chains, with the Messiah being here. That's a sabbatical kingdom. That is a kingdom in peace. That is your spiritual Sabbath. So the people who just throw away that natural Sabbath, they're putting in jeopardy the spiritual Sabbath. Well, the same thing goes on with the Passover. There's this natural thing that we have with the Passover, but then there's this spiritual part of that Passover that we're about to read about now. Go ahead.
Revelation chapter 12 and verse 1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars.
The children of Israel, the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. Go ahead.
And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his heads.
These are the way that the adversary, the devil, uses these nations to come against Israel. He uses this Euro-Gentile setup, this whole thing of Babylon. It has constantly been used against us, and all they do is keep fighting for the same power. Go ahead.
And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born.
The first thing that the adversary wants to do is to kill off the Messiah. So as soon as he was here in fleshly form, he was there to tempt him, to try to get him off that path, which is the very same thing that he does to us. But we don't see the adversary. We don't see that part of it. All you see is the problems that are right in front of you. Whether it be some physical situation here, or some altercation over there, those are the only things that you end up seeing. But the adversary is all in that. Go ahead.
Verse 5. And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. And her child was caught up unto Elohim and to his throne.
Now this is the part where it gets confusing. This is the part where, they buffeted, did all of these things to the Mashiach, saying, hey, you saved others, save yourself. Because in verse 5, and she brought forth, Israel brought forth a man child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. But not yet. See, everything has to happen in its proper timing. So you can do the right thing and do it at the wrong time, and you in a whole heap of trouble. Yeah, he gonna do this, but he wasn't doing that at that point. See, first he had to come as the lamb to be offered up for the sins of the children of Israel. Then when he comes back, he comes as the lion going to war, issuing out judgments to all the nations for all the things that they've done. But what's happened is they're looking for this power the first time. He wasn't coming in that capacity. Go ahead.
Revelations chapter 12 and verse 6. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared of Elohim, that they should feed her there 1,260 days.
Right. We got these 3.5 years that we got to be. Sanctification is given in threes. So the woman fled into the wilderness. The woman's not going directly to Israel. And it doesn't matter how many times we read this, people still think they're going to be smart and they're going to go right in. Sanctification has to happen. You cannot fight a holy battle without being sanctified. I don't care what tribal breakdown you think you belong to. If you don't receive the sanctification, you are not fit for war. When the sword and the thing was given to King David from Saul, he said, man, I can't go to war with these. They haven't been proven in battle. Man, that's a king's sword and a king's shield. This is the best stuff around. That's all fine and dandy. But I can't go to war with it because it has not been proven in battle. Give me my little slingshot. What you want a slingshot for, man? That's a giant. Because I know how to work this. It's been proven in battle. See, I know what it's going to do. I don't know what, if y'all really looked at yourself, but you really ain't all that. Okay? There's other people smarter than you. They're stronger than you. They look better than you. But Yahweh still chose you. But you got to be proven for this thing here. This ain't one of them things that you just show up and he just give you the key. You have to be proven to be able to go into this battle. Because you're going to be representing the King of Kings. Do you know what you're going to be representing? You can't half do that. If you're going to half do it, go home. That's why they give that speech before they get ready to go to war. Any man afraid, go home. Because your fear ain't going to do nothing but infect other people. And then they going to be scared. And now the whole mission is going to be poisoned because of your fear. Yahshua would always ask them before he did a miracle, do you believe I can do this? Do you believe I can do this? Because otherwise, you going to poison my abilities. I know I can do it. The question is, do you think I can do it? It says in the place where he grew up, he couldn't do many miracles there because of their unbelief. So he just left. He didn't deal with that place anymore. Because they knew too much about him. See? They was too familiar with him. They couldn't deal with, at baptism, this is a different man. They said, no, it's the same man. That's the same man I see. And that's what people gonna say about you. No, that's the same dude. I know him. I ain't trying to deal with that. He ain't no new person. Sometimes those familiar places are the places where we have the most issues. Go ahead, brother.
Revelation chapter 12 and verse 7. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels.
Lucifer actually believes that he's going to be able to defeat the Messiah. See? He's so slick, he has deceived himself. See, that's something when you lie so good that you lie to yourself and then you believe your own lie. That's a good liar right there. You telling some champion lies when you can lie so good that you actually believe it. As it is written, when he tells a lie, he tells of his own. For he is the inventor and the maker of it. Go ahead.
And prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the dragon was cast out, that old serpent, called the devil and Satan, which deceived the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him.
Right. And a lot of people want to tell you that this has already happened, but we know when we read Job, the adversary, the devil, is coming back and forth, to and fro, in and out of the earth. When it came time for them to keep appearances, it says it came a time for all the sons of Elohim to make their appearance, and Lucifer came also. So the very things that we're about to do in a day or two, Lucifer gonna do it too. See, they don't tell you that. Lucifer gonna make his appearance too. He gonna be right up there with all the other sons of Elohim, with all the other angels, and he gonna make his appearance before Yahweh. The same thing that these men gonna do. But before coming into this word, he convinced you that you didn't have to deal with none of this. Deception don't get no thicker than that. That you tell somebody that they don't have to deal with it while he himself goes. Oh, that's some slick deception right there. That is some slick deception. So meanwhile, he been keeping all of these. Understand? We know as it mentions about Melchizedek, that there's a priest in heaven. That all of this stuff, the instructions that we were given, even setting up the temple, these were not just some things that Yahweh grabbed out of the air. These things are already set up. We have a smaller version of the things that are already ordained in heaven. This is why it says whatever you accept on earth, it will have to be accepted in heaven. Why? Because they got a match. That's why you just can't take it upon yourself to do something that is not written in this book. You have to ask yourself, are the angels in heaven going to change what they got because you did whatever you did? If that thing ain't authorized, you in trouble. Go ahead.
Verse 10. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our Elohim and the power of the Mashiach. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before Elohim day and night. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. Therefore rejoice, you heavens, and you that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knows that he has but a short time.
Right. So even with all the problems that we've had before, now he understands that he has but a short time. So now he goes into overtime into dealing with us. Overtime, the stakes higher. You ain't got to score but one time. Go ahead.
Revelations chapter 13 and chapter 12, and verse 13. And when the dragon saw that he was cast onto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child.
Right. The adversary, the devil, the most powerful evil entity available. And he hate you. And he coming for you. He wants to make war with you. Meanwhile, people telling you ain't got to deal with this stuff. Yet you got the most prepared enemy of all times. And he got your name written down on his pad. Because there's specific ones. He want the children of Israel, period. But there's certain ones he want more than others. Go ahead.
And to the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place where she is nourished for a time and times and half a time.
Right. So here we go again with this 3.5 years where this woman has to get prepared while she is being protected from the adversary, she going through some things. She getting ready while Yahweh is sanctifying her and getting this woman ready to be his weapon and battle axe of mass destruction. They talk about weapons of mass destruction. That's us. We that for Yahshua. Go ahead.
From the face of the serpent, verse 15. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood.
Right. It is written that you're going to return the same way you came. We got spread all over these places in these ships. And the adversary, the devil, and say, yeah, go ahead, get in your ship, because I'm going to flood you. He going to try to drown us. Go ahead.
And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood which the dragon cast out of his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And the dragon was angry with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed.
With the remnant of her seed. So the dragon is completely angry with Israel. Go ahead.
Which keep the commandments of Elohim and have the testimony of Yahshua the Mashiach.
Right. Them the ones he specifically want to kill. He specifically has a problem with you. The rest of them he already got. He already got them. So he got his sights on the remnant which keep the commandments. People keep trying to tell you, well, it don't matter what color Christ is. It don't matter. I tell you what, if somebody got a gun and they coming for just one person, I bet it matter if you that one person. Well, we all that one person. And these people keep trying to tell us it don't matter. No, this says he's coming for a specific group of people. And we don't see them ish people going through no problem. The problem they go through, they made for themselves. So we have to understand when it comes down to being protected, see, we have to understand we want to be protected when that destroyer comes among us in our generation. See, we keep looking at this Passover as though we're taking part in some things that have already taken place long ago, and we ain't really gonna have to worry about nothing like that again. No. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 20. So you don't quite get that when we was at Sunday church and everybody was talking about communion. We didn't really get the seriousness of the event. I mean, even just preparing for a destroyer, knowing that a destroyer gonna come through in the middle of the night and take all the firstborn. And then if you leave out your house, they gonna kill you too. If you decide not to mark over your door with the blood of the lamb, they gonna kill you too. Ezekiel chapter 20, and let's read verses 33 through 44.
Verse 33. As I live, saith the Adonai Yahweh, surely with a mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out will I rule over you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll bring you out from the people and will gather you out of the countries wherein you are scattered with a mighty hand, with a stretched out arm and with fury poured out.
I will bring you out of the countries, plural. So this ain't just about the people who are in America. Bring you out of the countries. Go ahead.
And I'll bring you into the wilderness of the people, and there will I plead with you face to face.
Right. So those who try to miss the wilderness, they're missing the pleading of Yahweh face to face. Yahweh is pleading with Israel face to face to get Israel to the point where he needs Israel to be. How you gonna miss that? And still think you gonna represent Yahweh? Go ahead.
Like as I pleaded with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt, so will I plead with you, saith the Adonai Yahweh.
Right. And we have to ask ourselves, anybody who in the land claiming to be Israel, where did you go to a wilderness and get pleaded with first before you went in there? When that happened to you? And it already said countries. They came out of one country. Came out of one place, got stuck in another place. None of this pleading took place. Go ahead.
And I'll cause you to pass under the rod, and I'll bring you into the bond of the covenant. And I'll purge out from among you the rebels, and them that transgressed against me.
Right. I will purge out from among you the rebels, those who the self-will. Every time you show one direction, they in another. Every time you give one set of instructions, they do something else. Self-will. Go ahead.
I'll bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel. And you shall know that I am Yahweh.
I will bring them out of the country where they sojourn. Our problem is we don't know that we sojourning. We think we done set up home. This house, but no. You just visiting here, Jack. See, we don't know we're sojourning. That's the problem. I'm a stranger and a pilgrim here, man. This ain't my land. I'm just passing through. You say you got a house, I got a place. Yahweh let me stay. I'm just passing through. Go ahead.
Ezekiel chapter 20 and verse 39. As for you, O house of Israel, thus said the Adonai Yahweh, go you, serve you every one his idols, and hereafter also, if you will not hearken unto me, but pollute you my holy name no more with your gifts and with your idols.
Pollute my holy name no more. When we go out and do whatever it is we want to do, we put ourselves in a situation where now the holy name of Israel is now blasphemed. The holy name of Yahweh is now blasphemed. Because some people say, oh, they Israelites? Go ahead.
For in mine holy mountain, in the mountain of the height of Israel, said the Adonai Yahweh, there shall all the house of Israel, all of them in the land, serve me. There will I accept them, and there will I require your offerings and the first fruits of your oblations with all your holy things. I'll accept you with your sweet savor when I bring you out from the people and gather you out of the countries wherein you have been scattered.
Once again, you notice Yahweh have a tendency to say the same thing over and over, right? Yeah, I figured that out. He'll say something, he'll go into something else, and then he'll come right back the way he said before. Then he'll say something else, and then he'll come right back the way he said before. Right. Go ahead.
And I'll be sanctified in you before the heathen. And you shall know that I am Yahweh, when I shall bring you into the land of Israel, into the country for the which I lifted up my hand to give it to your fathers.
After all of these other things have taken place. Go ahead.
And there shall you remember your ways and all your doings, wherein you have been defiled. And you shall loathe yourselves in your own sight for all your evils that you have committed. And you shall know that I am Yahweh, when I have wrought with you for my name's sake, not according to your wicked ways, nor according to your corrupt doings, O you house of Israel, says the Adonai Yahweh.
All right, let's go to Isaiah chapter 35. Going the wrong way.
742.
Keep passing. Isaiah 35, and let's start that at verse 1.
The wilderness and the solitary place shall be glad for them, and the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose.
The place shall be glad for them. As it is written, the earth moans and groans waiting for the manifestation of the sons of Elohim. The earth tired of being ruled over by these people. The earth is like, I can't keep going on like this. You ever let somebody borrow your car and they bring it back, man, your car just be like, I'm glad I'm back with you. This cat don't know how to drive. Man, the earth's sick of this. It don't get to rest. It don't get to do anything. The ocean can't be cleansed because they eating everything in it. Now the clean fish dirty. And clean fish say, man, look, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. But they keep eating all the catfish and the shrimp and the lobster. They supposed to clean this thing. So even the parts of his creation that are doing what they supposed to do, they don't even get to operate in the glory that was prescribed for them under the inhabitants thereof. Because the way these people rule, it's all about money. So when we talk about being passed over, when we talk about being protected, when the destroyer comes, we got the destroyer. What they had in Egypt was a destroyer. We're going to have to deal with the destroyer. Not a generic destroyer. No, you dealing with Ace Boon Coon. That's who you're going to have to deal with. But we got to get prepared. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 2. It shall blossom abundantly and rejoice even with joy and singing. The glory of Lebanon shall be given unto it, the excellency of Carmel and Sharon. They shall see the glory of Yahweh and the excellency of our Elohim.
Well, we think we know what, people say we're going to go over there and we're going to see the Holy Land and, because we want to see it. It ain't going to look like that when you get there. It don't like them people. It's going to blossom and bud when you get in it. You ever had some people say, oh, this don't work. And then you get it. And then it worked. And they be like, how'd that happen? It didn't like you. Go ahead, bro.
Strengthen you the weak hands and confirm the feeble knees. Say to them that are of a fearful heart, be strong, fear not. Behold, your Elohim will come with vengeance, even Elohim with a recompense. He will come and save you. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped.
Right. We got to make it to that secret place. We got to make it to there with all our ailments, with all our problems, things we've been trying to get rid of year after year. Don't think that everything that you encounter is going to be gone by the next Passover, so you might not have to pray about that, 2 years in a row. You might have to pray the same thing for 6, 7 years in a row. But if you got to limp to that secret place, you just limp on. You just keep on till you make it. Go ahead.
Then shall the lame man leap as an hart, and the tongue of the dumb sing.
Right. A hart's a deer. Do you understand that a deer can jump by 7, 8 feet flat-footed without running? Deer just jump over fences, eat people's vegetables, and then jump back over the fence. Not running at all. Michael Jordan ain't gonna be nobody. They gonna have to move all the basketball goals up when we get up in there, Jack. We all gonna be Al Jordan. Go ahead.
For in the wilderness shall waters break out and streams in the desert, and the parched ground shall become a pool, and the thirsty land springs of water. In the habitation of the dragons, where each lay shall be grass with reeds and rushes. And an highway shall be there, and a way, and it shall be called the way of holiness.
Mm-hmm.
The unclean shall not pass over it, but it shall be for those, the wayfaring men, though fools shall not err therein. No lion shall be there, nor any ravenous beast shall go up thereon. It shall not be found there, but the redeemed shall walk there. And the ransomed of Yahweh shall return, and come to Zion with songs and everlasting joy upon their heads.
Right. Our people sing and everything. People out there picking cotton, they were singing. That's why them folks said, sing us one of them songs of Zion. Let me hear them songs y'all be singing. Y'all just the happiest slaves we have seen. We ain't never seen such happy slaves. But they didn't know we were talking in them songs, sending messages to one another, doing all kind of stuff right under everybody's nose. And that thing kept them going so that it didn't completely break their back. Go ahead.
They shall obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away.
All right, let's go to Yohanan chapter 13. John chapter 13. John chapter 13, and we're going to read verses 1 through 20.
Verse 1. Now before the feast of the Passover, when Yahshua knew that his hour was come, that he should depart out of this world unto the Father, having loved his own which were in the world, he loved them unto the end. And supper being ended, the devil having now put into the heart of Yehudas Iscariot, Simeon's son, to betray him.
Right. So from the beginning, he said he already knew who was going to betray him, but the adversary, the devil, has not entered into him yet. That's why when they was asking all them questions, when they was talking about, is it I? Nobody really knows who it is. But when you leave an open door for the adversary, he already know. He gonna come back right there. As it says, the unclean spirit went out of a man. And he left. He came back, found it clean, swept, and garnished, and brought back 7 other more wicked spirits, worse than the one that was there. So now the second state of that man is worse than the first. Because yeah, his house was clean, but he didn't guard himself. So them spirits returned. Go ahead.
Yahshua, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he was come from Elohim, and went to Elohim, he rised up from supper, and laid aside his garments, and took a towel, and girded himself. And after that he pours water into a basin, and began to wash the disciples' feet, and to wipe them with the towel wherewith he was girded. Then cometh he to Simeon Peter, and Cephas says unto him, Adonai, does you wash my feet? Yahshua answered and said unto him, What I do you knoweth not now, but you shall know hereafter.
Right, you shall know hereafter. Sometimes you have to follow instructions and you might not completely understand what it is he's doing. They don't really completely understand the foot washing. And you see, this is a pretty proud man. He ain't trying to let no man wash his feet. Hey, hold on, bro. What's with the foot washing, bro? Man, you know what I'm saying? We don't do this here. Go ahead.
Cephas says unto him, You shall never wash my feet. Yahshua answered him, If I wash you not, you have no part in me. Simeon Peter says unto him, Adonai, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head. Yahshua says to him, He that is washed needs not save to wash his feet, but is clean every whit, and you are clean, but not all.
Right. He that is washed needs not save to wash his feet. So this is why, they're not completely understanding what he's doing to them, but this is cleansing him. See? We're going to get dirty along the way. We're not going to all stay sparkling bright like the day of baptism. So we got to help rejuvenate one another along the way. Go ahead.
Verse 11. For he knew who should betray him. Therefore said he, You are not all clean. So after he had washed their feet, and had taken his garments, and was set down again, he said unto them, Know you what I've done to you? You call me Master and Adonai, and you say, well, for so I am. If I then, your Adonai and Master, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet.
You also ought to wash one another's feet. There comes a time that you might not be able to restore yourself by yourself. This is why we need one another. Go ahead.
For I have given you an example that you should do as I have done to you. Verily, verily, I say unto you, the servant is not greater than his master, neither he that is sent greater than he that sent him. If you know these things, happy are you if you do them. I speak not of you all, I know whom I have chosen, but that the scripture may be fulfilled, he that eateth bread with me has lifted up his heel against me. Now I tell you before it comes, that when it is come to pass, you may believe that I am he. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that receives whomsoever I send receiveth me, and he that receiveth me receives him that sent me.
Right, you have to pay attention to verse 20. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that receives whomsoever I send receives me. He that receives me receives him that sent me. There's a path that leads to Yahweh, and you ain't gonna jump the line. You either gonna go through the door. If you slide through a window, you're a thief and a robber. There's a path that Yahweh has laid out, and we're gonna either follow that path, or even though you got in, you're gonna have that problem that happened when he came and invited all the people to the wedding feast, and then they found one in there without a wedding garment. He said, hey man, how you get in here not having a wedding garment? Take him out of here. Bind him hand and foot. See, you can't come by some other means. You either come through the door or you're a thief and a robber. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 11. This is why this baptism is so important. We read that these people that had their baptisms and it wasn't done correctly, they got their baptisms done again. First Corinthians chapter 11, and we're going to read verses 24 through 32.
And when he had given thanks, he brake it and said, take, eat, this is my body, which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me. After the same manner also he took the cup, when he had supped, saying, this cup is the New Testament in my blood. This do you as oft as you drink it, in remembrance of me.
Right. So when you get right down to it, the priest had to eat the sacrifices. There were certain parts that belonged to the priest. So now you have these brothers, and he's telling them to eat this part, eat, this is his body, drink, this is his blood. They had to partake of the sacrifice. So he gave a substitute for his flesh and his blood, but they had to partake of the sacrifice. Go ahead.
Verse 26. For as often as you eat this bread and drink this cup, you do show the Adonai's death till he comes. Wherefore whosoever shall eat this bread and drink this cup of the Adonai unworthily shall be guilty of the body and blood of the Adonai. But let a man examine himself, and so let him eat of that bread and drink of that cup.
Right. We have received our baptism. Those who have been baptized in the name of Yahshua, you approach onto the altar and take part of that body and blood of the Mashiach. If you have not been baptized in the name of Yahshua, do not take part in that portion of it. We will still, of course, have our meal. We will still, of course, go through our foot washing. All of those things you can take part in. But if you have not had your baptism in the name of Yahshua, examine yourself and do not take part in the body and the blood of the Mashiach. Go ahead.
Verse 29. For he that eats and drinks unworthily, eats and drinks damnation to himself, not discerning the Adonai's body. For this cause many are weak and sickly among you, and many sleep. For if we would judge ourselves, we should not be judged. But when we are judged, we are chastened of the Adonai, that we should not be condemned with the world.
Right. And these are those problems, those situations and circumstances that we encounter that half the time we crying and whining about. But this is the chastisement of Yahweh, that we don't end up being punished with the rest of the world. See, Yahweh ain't punishing those people. Them Lucifer children. You don't just go down the street and go start punishing people's kids. But your kids do something, you go get at them. So, Yahweh leaving them unpunished. But what's happening? The judgment is getting greater and greater against them. So when the judgment finally comes to a head, now they got all of these things that they got to pay for, and they don't have the resources to pay for it. Because he ain't going to take no bribe. We don't consider the chastisement a blessing. But it's a blessing because it makes you stop doing it. That indeed is a blessing. So we have to consider, even in this Passover, our Adonai being not just killed but tortured for us. It was a blessing. And we have to learn that all blessings don't come in the package that you think it's supposed to come in. There's going to be some things that Yahweh is going to do for you that it seems like absolute just mayhem. And it turns out to be the best thing that ever happened to you. That's if you are able to let the patience have its perfect work and wait. But if you got to understand everything before you take a step, Yahweh ain't going to be able to use you. Abram was told, go to a place which I shall tell you of. He didn't give him the destination first. You start walking. We ain't gonna know every turn, every nook and cranny in this journey. But you have to learn that Yahweh got you. It says that it's gonna be destruction all around us, but you just gonna behold it with your eyes. It's not gonna come near you. So let us consider those things and consider how great the sacrifice was, that our God King High Priest came and entered into a fleshly body and was tortured for us to put us back in the right place with Yahweh our Elohim. The maker of flesh had never been in flesh. This is why the adversary, the devil, wanted to come and test him immediately. Just because you made it don't mean that you ain't never been in it. It's something to read about hunger. It's something else to be hungry. See, when you read it, it's called hungry. When you feel it, it's hungry. You know, it turns to something else when your stomach start going, it's something altogether different. See, it's hungry when you read it on the paper. When it happened to you, it's something altogether different. And this is what our God King High Priest went through for us. So let us consider that as we prepare to take part in this body and blood of the Mashiach. That's all that we're going to do for tonight, and let's prepare for our next step. Shalom.
Shalom.